Great. Okay. So today we're going to go over a final review for quantitative reasoning. This is the spring 2021 semester. First off, before we get started, let's just go over kind of the instructions and the directions of the test. So you'll have 2 hours to take it. It is 40 questions long. All are multiple choice. You'll have plenty of time to complete it. 40 questions in 2 hours is enough time to complete. Once you start, you have to finish just like the regular tests we've taken so far. It's worth 100 points, which if you look at your syllabus, that's per the syllabus. You have to get it done by Friday at midnight. I've actually already opened it up. You can go into your tests and quizzes right now and take it if you want. But I would suggest at least studying just a little bit of before you get going. And then what would I study? Well, I would study all the previous tests. I'm going to tell you, I was not creative in making these questions. I pulled them almost directly from your previous. You've had 4 or 5 tests now off the top of my head. I'm not looking at the syllabus, but your previous tests are what I used to make this test. And some of them are copy and paste straight from it. I use kind of a algorithmic thing to change the numbers mostly, but some of those questions were straightforward. When it came to like definition questions and they're multiple choice, like you can't change the definition of certain things. That's just not how it works. Now, if it's like a number question, you can do that. Okay, so first, let me think. Hold on. If there's any other things? Also your final paper. So your final paper needs to be turned in by Friday at midnight as well. And my goal is to get those graded. I'm going to say over the weekend. I probably won't do it over the weekend. Monday and Tuesday is when I have set aside time to grade your final paper, and then I can get your final grade to you as soon as I can. I think they're due either Wednesday by midnight or Thursday by noon. I can't remember off the top of my head, but typically I don't get that far. I mean, I'm not a last minute grader, so typically I don't have that issue. The questions I've had students ask me, I think that's it. You guys that are in here, do you have questions about the setup before I get to the content? Do you have questions about the instructions? If not, it's not a big deal. And if you think of one, you can type it in the chat. I'll see it and I can answer it. That's not a big deal at all. Okay, so let's get started on the actual review of the test. I'm going to tell you, I've got the test open over here, and I'm just telling you what I would study for if I was going to study today for this, actually over the next 2 days for it. I broke down, so there are 40 questions, and I broke it pretty evenly between the tests. So it's pretty well, roughly, I think we have 5 tests. So it's pretty well 8 to 10 questions a test. Some had a few more, some had a few less. And that's just kind of how it went. And again, they're all worth 2.5 points. So they're all equally weighted, very straightforward. The very first thing that we covered in this class was about logic and was about statements. So I would make sure that you study the idea of, the fallacy, the argument, the premise, and the logic. It has been a while. Gosh, it feels like it's been a long time since we've done that. But I would look over that, remember how to write negations and how to write converse, inverse, contrapositives, right? That was on that very first test. And also go over the Venn diagram. Remember the 2 circles and, where they overlap, what that meant, what happens when they don't overlap, and what that means. Look over really what inductive and deductive reasoning means. And, if a statement is valid based off premises. So if you're given premises, can you come to a valid conclusion? Okay, that was really the first test. That was all the stuff from the first test. The second test is when we got into really percentages. Hold on. Yeah, like go, basic percentage questions, right? We're on the first test. You need to know those. Uh, Surveying and what it meant to, for an error in surveying. If you look back at those tests, you'll go, oh yeah, that's what he was talking about. Then using indices like a consumer price index or a housing index, that was on that test as well. It'll definitely be on the final. And going over compound interest. I can't remember if this is the second or the third test now, but compound interest and finding the amount after compounding, or also finding the interest or the simple interest from compounding interest. That was, I think that was test 3. I could be wrong, but I think that's test 3. It might have been the end of test 4 or test 2. The marginal tax rate question is going to be on there. And, I'm going to tell you, you guys in here that are watching this, I make a point to go over taxes in this class because there's nothing that kind of, well, no, there's other things that irk me a lot more, but I always find it interesting whenever I hear people complain on social media that they didn't learn taxes, how to do their taxes in math, which 99% of people are going to pay someone to do their taxes. And for most of it, it's free on, H&R Block or whatever. It's really cheap. It makes more logical sense to not do it, to not waste your time doing it. But anyway, I make a point to go over that. So that way, if someone says, I never learned how to do tax, you can say, well, actually, I did learn how to do taxes in Mr. Sherrow's quantitative reasoning class, or I attempted to learn how to do taxes. At least understand the marginal tax rate and how it's calculated, right? I know we're not going from taxes from beginning to end, but you're kind of understanding the idea of how taxes work. And hopefully, whenever you're watching the news and someone, and the statements like this come around all the time, like, oh, such and such politician is going to raise the tax rate to 70%. Well, it's a marginal tax rate. It's not that 70% of your income is going to be taxed. That's not how it works. Okay, so let's keep going. Yeah, understand the difference between a surplus and a deficit, right? And then, oh man. The types of sampling. Remember, we went over systematic, simple random sample, a convenient sample, and a stratified sample. And then different types of biasness as well, right? If we have participation bias, selection bias, things of that nature. And then I think this is test 4 now. But we went over really the stats section, which I think was test 4 was statistics. But know the different types of variables, qualitative, quantitative, understand the permutation combination, right? How that works and how to calculate it. How to find basic probability and how to find more complex probability, right? So if we had a basic probability would be like, if we roll a die and what's the probability of rolling a 2, 1 out of 6, right? Another more complex probability would be, if we have 5 red marbles, 2 green marbles, and 1 whatever, black marble. What's the probability of choosing a marble that's not black? Something like that. I would know how to do that. Yeah. This might have been this is definitely the last test. We went over dependent and independent variable and what that meant, and if that was the domain and the range. If you just took that test, you'll know what I'm talking about. That was on there. And then, how to graph the function, that question on the last test. And as what does it mean when the graph is going up? What does that mean? As the as like time increases, so is the average rate of death, I think is what one of the questions from the test was. Which those questions are similar. Those be, different numbers. Know how to make an equation, make a linear equation. given so that, a setup. That's it. I know that doesn't seem like much, but it really is. There's a lot, and I'm telling you, if I were you, I would go back and I would look at every single test I've taken this semester, and I would just make sure. And I'll tell you, do the multiple choice ones because the open response I didn't include because I needed to get these graded quicker, and I'm grading 4 other classes as well at the same time. So that's why I made this multiple choice. Hold on, let me check something else out. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you two, Michaela and Weston, you guys that are in here, after going over the instructions, do you have any questions to ask me? I don't mind if you want to ask me specific questions. I don't mind if they're broad questions. Okay, Weston, what's up, buddy? I can't hear you, and I don't know if that's me or you, Weston. I know that your mic's not on though, which typically means you're wanting to say something. And if you want to type it in chat, that's fine too. I'll give you a minute. Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. And I mean, Weston, I'll wait here and wait for you to, if you've got a question, just type it in there, and then it's no big deal. I mean, Kayla, if you've got a question, please let me know. I'll tell you while you're typing that, I did not make this final as a gotcha final. It's really comprehensive. I mean, it's from those previous tests. There should not be anything out of the ordinary on it. And if it is, I promise it's not. You have overlooked it if there is something out of the ordinary on it. Okay. Oh, hands down, Michaela. Yeah, reviewing your past tests is the best way to study for this. That is the study guide. I didn't make a study guide. I mean, typically I'll make study guides for finals, but this one, all it would be your tests. That's all it would be. And you have all the answers. If for some reason you can't see the answers to your tests, let me know. You should be able to see all the answers to the previous tests. Guys, if you don't have any questions, I mean, we can be done. It's not a big deal. With that, I'll stay on here if you need me, but I'm going to stop the recording, and I will let the